going to talk over section 1 from the Higher Computing 2011 past paper. Now section 1 is quite straightforward. It's all just normally the kind of short response questions that you'll be asked to complete. Just open up a document here so I can type up the answer to the first question. So the first question is, state the largest whole number that can be stored as a 10-bit positive integer. So the highest number that can be stored as a 10-bit positive integer is 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So 10 ones. Now hopefully you can double the number 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. Now that's 8 times, which you've probably practiced in class loads. And we're going to double it a few more times. Okay, so that is 8 times. And then you're going to get 256. And then you're going to get 5, 1, 2. And if you place the numbers underneath that, 1, 1, 1. Wait, one more, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And if you were to add all them up, it would come up to 1023, and you can check that in a calculator. The reason I know that is because it's 2 to the power 10, and worked with the ranges and things before. If you think, if to work this out for just the 2 bits, the highest positive number you can do is 3, which is 2 to the power of the number of bits you've got minus 1. So it's really easy to work it out that way, but that would only be if you've practiced and knew it inside out. So the first answer is 1023, and we can check that that's correct if we find the marking scheme for the 2011 higher question. There we go, and I'll put a link to these in the video. So let's just check the first one, and indeed there we go, 1023 is indeed the highest number that can be stored. So let's look at the next question then. So name and describe a method for measuring the performance of computers. Well, there's a few different methods of performance measuring you could choose. You could choose clock speed, and clock speed you would describe as it's measured in hertz, and it gives an indication of the number of instructions that can be carried out by a processor in a period of time. There is MIPS, which is millions of instructions per second, and that tells you how many instructions the computer can carry out, hence the name, in a certain period of time. And there are flops, which is floating point operations per second, which is an indication of the number of mathematical calculations the computer can carry out in a second. And finally there are application-based tests, which are a series of benchmark tests that all computers are put through with different pieces of software and so on. And because they do the same tests on the same on different computer systems, that those tests are comparable to other systems. Now you need to know a little bit more than that to expand on them, so some reading on those if you're unsure of them. Next one, 3A, data storage compensates for differences in speed between computers and peripherals. It's achieved through buffering and spooling. Explain the difference between buffering and spooling. Well, buffering is a function of an interface. It's a hardware solution because there is memory built into peripheral devices such as printers, in which the processor can send its data really quickly to it there, and it can be temporarily stored by the peripheral device, so the processor can leave that job for the buffer to send data to the printer. Spooling is a similar idea, in that it's temporary storage of data, so the processor can be freed up to do other tasks, except it's a software solution and it uses the fast backend storage in your computer system to allow it to spool data. Part B, compensation for differences in speed between the computer and peripherals is one function of an interface state to other functions. Now I remember this by puppy dogs bite very hard. So we've got protocol conversion, data format conversion, buffering, voltage conversion, and handling of status signals are other ones. 4A, the type of virus that may affect a computer during the startup process is a boot sector virus. There's two others, and those are file viruses and macro viruses. Replication and camouflage are two virus code actions. State, two other virus code actions. So you can see here it's all to do with state. The answers to two other ones would be watching and delivery. 5, state 1, advancing computer hardware that's led to the increased use of computer networks. Well, there's other different advantages and disadvantages we could see here. One is that data transfer speeds are higher. The physical size of the hardware you need is getting smaller. The price per bit storage is getting less and less. We're now getting network-based computer system peripherals that can all be shared. Loads of different answers for that one. So let's just check over our first 5 answers just to see if we've got everything yet. So clock speed, MIPS, flops, application-based tests, buffering using the RAM that's built into peripherals, spooling using the hard disk. B, data format conversion, protocol conversion, handler status signals, boot sector viruses, watching, delivery. You can see here loads of different ones that they're accepting for the hardware as well. Few different ones you could pick and choose from. Let's look at 6 then. Describe an example in which an image stored as a vector graphic could have a larger file size than if the same image was stored in a bitmap. In this case, it would be where there are loads of different objects in the image, because vector graphics need to store the object's attributes, like the shape, the line thickness, the fill colour, and so on. And if there were several objects, we're talking lots, then it would require a lot more data, a lot more memory to store all of the objects than it would if it was in bitmap format, which is going to be the same no matter if you change all the pixels on it to different colours, because remember, a bitmap only stores the colour of every individual pixel. Right, 6b. A bitmap graphic has a bit depth of 24 bits and a resolution of 300 dots per inch. State the number of colours that may be represented in this graphic. So again, I'm going to need to get a wee window open here. And how to work out number of colours from bit depth. We need to do 2 to the power of the bit depth, which is 24. And I'm just going to open the calculator on this to save the time. And we want to go 2 to the power 24. We can see they're using the calculator. It's 16,777,216 colours. Similarly, if you're asked to do this the other way around, if there are 1,024 colours in an image, what you have to do is work out what 2 to the power would give you that. So let's try 2 to the power 10 to see if that gives us the 1024 colours, and it does. If you were asked to get 65,536 colours in an image, you could try different numbers to see it works. Let's see, 2 to the power 12 is too low, 2 to the power 17 is too high, 2 to the power 16 gives us the 65,536 colours. So that would be how we work those ones out. 6b part 2, state the effect that increasing the bit depth will have on the file size of the graphic. Well, if you increase the bit depth, it requires more bits to store every single pixel in the image. So in this case, the file size would increase. Let's just check those two. So they're talking about the different objects. They were talking about 16,776,016 colours, and the file size will increase. You can see they're just stating very short answers at in these questions. 7. Analysis is the first stage of the software development process. Name the document produced at the end of analysis stage. Well, that is the software specification, the legal contract between the systems analyst and the client, or the software development company and the client. Explain why the production of this document could be an iterative process. Well, may get to the design stage and they may figure out or find new information out as more work's carried out and testing. They may realise that it's not possible to create certain actions and programs that they need them to carry out, or indeed the requirements may change, so they need to go back and revisit other stages when they discover new information, so it may change. 8. Pseudocode is a design notation used during the development process. It could include data flow. State the purpose of data flow. Well, data flow is used to show the parameters that are passed into the sub-procedures in your program, to show the flow of data between your main program and the sub-procedures that you would create, so that you can work out whether parameters need to be passed in and out, or just in and just out, to choose where you're going to use by reference and by value parameter passing as well. Other than data flow, state 2 benefits of a programmer of a design written in pseudocode. Well, it's a structured, numbered step-by-step guide which is written in English, so it's a lot easier to convert it straight to code. And as well as that, you can use it as your internal commentary to explain it to other programmers. 9. A Boolean variable. We hope you know that a Boolean variable stores values that are either true or false, nothing else. So not like an integer which stores whole numbers, completely different. It stores true or false values. 10. Software is usually written using sub-programs, sub-procedures, modules, functions, similar ideas here. State how the uses of sub-programs increases the maintainability of a program. Remember, maintainability is all about how easy it is to update, to add in new features, testing it, understanding it. It's all about maintainability. And if you've got smaller separate programs, well, it's easier then to include other programs or other sub-procedures. You can just plug them straight in. It's easier to test these modules independently as well. So there's a lot of advantages to using sub-programs. Readability often affects maintainability. Other than sub-programs, state one way to improve the readability of code. Well, there's several other ones. There's indentation, internal commentary, blank lines of code just to break it up for the human eye when you're reading, and good variable names is another one to help people understand your program. Explain one difference between a procedure and a function. Procedures are more like what you guys will have written in your coursework, where your procedures could return more than one value, whereas functions, think of the predefined functions, you know, like int, random, uppercase, lowercase, they only return one value. Okay, 11. A program consists of 3 variables of the same type with the following values, and it's written in a programming language. It's got this line of code here. The symbol represents a particular operation. The value 84 is assigned to the variable 3. State the single combination, the operation carried out with the question mark symbol. So in this case, they are joining 2 variables together. Now it might look like they're integers at this time, but we need to be careful whether we can actually join 2 integers together. So for 11 part 8 is concatenation. The symbol that they want is the ampersand, the and symbol, and the data type that must be used for all 3 variables. If they're going to join 2 things together, that implies that they're strings, so they would all have to be strings. So let's just check that 11 is what they're looking for. So you can see, check the other one, so it's to those 9 true or false, internal commentary and so on. There's the one about returning single values. And we can see here, yeah, indeed, it was looking for strings, because the only way you concatenate things if they're strings. Integers and numbers are a little bit different. 12. A macro can be used within an application software to automate a task. Name the type of programming language used to create macros. Well, that's scripting languages. I need to know a lot more about them than just that they can use to create macros. Other than saving time, for example, during writing or testing, state 2 further benefits of using macros. Well, it means that people that aren't expert programmers can carry out quite complex actions, because programmers could come in and write a series of automated programs and macros that these users can use to speed up the time it takes them to carry out tasks. They can carry out really complex tasks. It saves on errors for them carrying out repetitive tasks, saves them getting bored carrying out repetitive tasks as well. Loads of acceptable answers there. That's a good question. You can see other ones I've got here as well. Changing user interface is another good one to say there, and that it can change how it displays to make it easier to see. Again, a wee bit of reading into macros and types of languages would help out there. Again, if you've got any questions, send me a message and I'll try and help you out.